of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay, the only sofa that's machine washable inside and out, where designer quality meets budget-friendly prices. That's right, sofas from only $639. Anabay brings you a no-risk experience with pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and changeable slipcovers made with performance fabric, cloud-like comfort with high-resilience foam, and hypoallergenic featherless down that needs no fluffing. Their steel frame ensures longevity, and you can rearrange the modular pieces anytime. And here's the cherry on top, up to 60% off site-wide. It's backed by a 30-day satisfaction guarantee, so if you're not absolutely in love, send it back for a full refund. No return shipping or restocking fees. Every penny back. Join the revolution of easy, clean, stylish living with up to 60% off at anabay.com. That's ANABEI.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
Conair is spreading love and celebrating women, not just on International Women's Day, but every day with Conair Girl Bomb. Girl Bomb is their new line of powerful hair removal tools made just for us. Yeah. Whether it's the silky smooth skin or the empowering confidence boost you get, Conair Girl Bomb is here to amp up those positive vibes with some self-care. So to all the beautiful women out there, keep shining, keep being you, and treat yourself to some Conair Girl Bomb magic. You deserve it. Available at Walgreens.
Fear of the unknown is the greatest fear of all, and for millions of Americans, there is no greater unknown than Alzheimer's disease. I'm Dana Torito, a writer and Alzheimer's advocate. On my podcast, The Memory Whisperer, I strive to calm your fears about the disease through thoughtful conversations with experts, care partners, and more.
Action is the antidote for fear.
Listen to The Memory Whisperer on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
Jon Stewart is back in the host chair at The Daily Show, which means he's also back in our ears on The Daily Show Ears Edition podcast. Join late-night legend Jon Stewart and the best news team for today's biggest headlines, exclusive extended interviews, and more. Now this is a second term we can all get behind. Listen to The Daily Show Ears Edition on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello. From Wonder Media Network, I'm Jenny Kaplan, and this is Womanica. This month, we're talking about women of sound. These women dominated the airwaves, innovating, documenting, and creating the audio landscape we live in today. In 1808, the German physicist Ernst Chladni stood in front of Napoleon Bonaparte at the Academy of Science in Paris. Chladni poured a fine layer of sand over a plate and then ran a bow along its edge. The plate emitted a tone. In response to the sound, the sand began to jump and move, forming intricate geometric patterns. Amazed, Napoleon proposed a prize to any mathematician who could make sense of this phenomenon. Today we're talking about the woman who won that prize, Sophie Germain. Sophie was born in 1776 in Paris, France, to a wealthy family. From a young age, Sophie loved to read books in her father's library. One day, she came across the story of Archimedes, the famous Greek mathematician known for his analysis of the lever and pulley. As the story went, Archimedes had been so engrossed in his mathematical study that when his town was invaded by the Roman army, he didn't notice. And he was speared to death on the spot. Sophie was struck by how deeply invested Archimedes had been in his practice. He'd been so consumed that he'd died. Sophie knew she had to see what the fuss was all about. So, Sophie started teaching herself the basics of mathematics. She would study late into the night by candlelight, reading books by famous theorists like Euler and Newton. At the time, it was frowned upon for women to learn subjects like math and science. They were only deemed fit for men. Sophie's parents discouraged her unladylike fascination with mathematics by confiscating all of her candles and putting out the fire at night. But Sophie wasn't easily dissuaded. She kept a secret stash of candles in her room and bundled up in a quilt to stay warm. Sometimes it got so cold that the ink froze in the inkwell. Still, Sophie persisted. In 1794, a new academy called École Polytechnique opened in Paris. It was meant to be a place of study for the most talented mathematicians and scientists in the nation, but only men were allowed to attend. Sophie circumvented this requirement by taking on the identity of a former male student, Monsieur Leblanc. Unaware that this Monsieur Leblanc was actually a young woman, the school printed extra lecture notes and course materials for him, allowing Sophie to keep up with the classes. One of Sophie's teachers, Professor Lagrange, was so impressed with this so-called Monsieur Leblanc's work that he asked to meet in person. Sophie could hide her secret no longer and revealed her true identity to the professor. Perhaps surprisingly, the professor supported her aspirations and remained a mentor and resource. Sophie took a particular interest in number theory, and there was one number theory problem vexing mathematicians at the time. In the 17th century, the French mathematician Pierre de Fermat proposed what's known as Fermat's last theorem. You're probably familiar with the Pythagorean theorem, that is, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, Fermat posited that if the power is any number greater than 2, then the equation is no longer valid. It was simple to show that was indeed the case. But it was incredibly hard to prove the principle behind why it didn't work. Fermat himself never provided the proof. Sophie was determined to uncover it. So, in 1804, Sophie returned to using her pseudonym and struck up a correspondence with Carl Gauss, a renowned German mathematician and authority on number theory, to discuss some of her work on the proof. Sophie's true identity was also eventually revealed to Carl. Fortunately, he too continued to encourage her work. In the end, Sophie was able to construct part of the missing proof. The problem would continue to stump mathematicians for another century. Her breakthrough helped lead to the discovery of the complete proof in the mid-1990s. Sophie then turned her attention to another prominent mathematical puzzle of the day, the Chladni figures. In response to the French Academy of Sciences contest, Sophie explored mathematical explanations as to why sound vibrations cause the intricate shifting patterns in the sand. It took Sophie 3 tries, but on her third submission, the Academy agreed that her thesis, Memoir on the Vibrations of Elastic Plates, was worthy of recognition. In 1816, and under her own name to boot, Sophie Germain became the first woman to be awarded a prize by the Academy. Her pioneering work in understanding the physics of vibration, acoustics, and the elasticity of surfaces changed the course of how we understand sound. Even still, Sophie remained isolated and sidelined from academic circles. But always dogged, she managed to become the first woman on her own merit to attend lectures at the French Academy of Science. She did have some allies in her corner. Carl Gauss arranged for a German university to bestow her with an honorary degree. But before she could receive it, she died of breast cancer at the age of 55. All month, we're talking about women of sound. For more information, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Womanica Podcast. Special thanks to Liz Kaplan, my favorite sister and co-creator. Talk to you tomorrow.
Fear of the unknown is the greatest fear of all, and for millions of Americans, there is no greater unknown than Alzheimer's disease. I'm Dana Torito, a writer and Alzheimer's advocate. On my podcast, The Memory Whisperer, I strive to calm your fears about the disease through thoughtful conversations with experts, care partners, and more.
Action is the antidote for fear.
Listen to The Memory Whisperer on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.
Jon Stewart is back in the host chair at The Daily Show, which means he's also back in our ears on The Daily Show Ears Edition podcast. Join late-night legend Jon Stewart and the best news team for today's biggest headlines, exclusive extended interviews, and more. Now this is a second term we can all get behind. Listen to The Daily Show Ears Edition on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart, and we're back with a new season of my podcast. This season will be even more revealing and more personal, with more entrepreneurs, more live events, and more questions from you. I'm talking to my cosmetic dermatologist, Dr. Dan Belkin, about the secrets behind my skincare. Encore Jane about creating a billion-dollar startup. Walter Isaacson about the geniuses who changed the world. Listen and subscribe to the Martha Stewart podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jackie Goldschneider from The Real Housewives of New Jersey.
And I'm Jennifer Fessler, also from The Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Welcome to our new podcast, Two Jersey Jays. We are going to have lots of fun on this podcast while we discuss what it's really like to be a real housewife and all the drama that comes with it.
Follow us as we navigate family, friendships, and even frenemies. Listen to Two Jersey Jays on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.